Revolution to administration. The dawn of Washington's presidency. George Washington's presidency marked an unprecedented era in American history, as he was the first individual to hold the office. Taking on the role after the Revolutionary War, he was trusted by the public to lead the nation into a future of prosperity and freedom. Washington's presidency was not just about leading a nation. It was about setting a precedent for all future presidents and constructing a template for American leadership. With the inauguration of Washington, the establishment of the new federal government began. A framework was set in place, embodying the principles of democracy and federalism. The government was structured to have three separate but equal branches: the executive, legislative, and judicial. The new federal government was a groundbreaking institution that would serve as the backbone of the nation. As the first president of the United States, George Washington faced the immense task of leading a newly formed nation. His presidency was a trial by fire, testing the resilience of the American democratic experiment. Despite the challenges, Washington proved to be a capable leader, setting a high standard for future presidents. The early challenges of Washington's presidency were numerous and significant. He had to overcome economic instability, diplomatic issues, and domestic conflicts. These challenges tested his leadership skills and shaped his presidency in ways that would define his legacy. His response to these challenges demonstrated his commitment to the nation and his ability to lead during difficult times. Washington also played a crucial role in the formation of the first U.S. cabinet. Recognizing the need for a group of advisors, he appointed individuals to head various departments. This cabinet, composed of the Secretary of State, Treasury, and War, became an integral part of the executive branch. This system of trusted advisors has continued to be a vital component of the presidency to this day. George Washington played a pivotal role in shaping the presidency. As the first president, he had no precedent to follow. Every decision he made would set a standard for future administrations. He carefully balanced his powers to avoid appearing like a monarch, leading with a sense of dignity and respect for the office he held. The initial development of the executive branch occurred under Washington's watchful eye. He was cautious, understanding that the young nation needed a strong yet balanced government. He established departments within the executive branch, each headed by experienced leaders, to manage different aspects of national governance. One of Washington's significant contributions was the formation of the first U.S. cabinet. He selected 4 key advisors: Thomas Jefferson as Secretary of State, Alexander Hamilton as Secretary of Treasury, Henry Knox as Secretary of War, and Edmund Randolph as Attorney General. Their collective wisdom helped guide him through his presidency. In terms of foreign policy, Washington treaded carefully. The young nation's survival depended on its relations with foreign powers. He favored neutrality, a stance that would keep the U.S. out of European conflicts. His Neutrality Proclamation of 1793 established this policy, highlighting his commitment to peace and stability. Washington's influence on the U.S. military is undeniable. A former general himself, he recognized the importance of a strong defense. He advocated for a professional, well-trained military force, understanding that a nation's strength lies not only in its ideals, but also its ability to defend them. Washington's presidency set the stage for the development of the U.S. military. One of the most significant aspects of George Washington's presidency was his establishment of the U.S. financial system. Recognizing the importance of a strong economic foundation, Washington appointed Alexander Hamilton as the first Secretary of the Treasury. This decision led to the formation of a centralized banking system, the issuance of government bonds, and the implementation of taxes, all of which still play a vital role in the American economy today. Washington was a strong supporter of the Constitution, believing it to be the blueprint for a successful and thriving nation. He saw it as the embodiment of the social contract between the government and its citizens, and his administration worked tirelessly to uphold its principles. His stance on the Constitution greatly influenced his decisions and policies, reinforcing the document's importance and relevance in the American political system. Balancing federal and state powers was a major concern during Washington's presidency. He had to navigate the delicate line between a strong central government and the rights of individual states. Despite the numerous challenges, he managed to strike a balance, establishing a precedent for future administrations. His approach was instrumental in shaping the federal system we know today. Washington's presidency was also marked by the challenge of Native American relations. He believed in integrating Native Americans into the American society, but his attempts were often met with resistance. This, coupled with the pressure from European powers and the demands of westward expansion, made Native American relations one of the most complex issues of his presidency. Washington's response to the Whiskey Rebellion showcased his firm stance on upholding federal authority. When farmers in Pennsylvania rebelled against a federal tax on whiskey, Washington led a militia to quell the uprising. This decisive action sent a strong message about the strength of the new federal government and its ability to enforce laws, setting a significant precedent for future presidents. Understanding the judicial system was a critical part of Washington's presidency. He was instrumental in establishing the federal judiciary system, a critical component of the U.S. government. The Judiciary Act of 1789, signed into law by Washington, laid the groundwork for the Supreme Court and the federal court system. Washington's presidency had a profound impact on American society. He helped shape a unified national identity, paving the way for a new republic. His leadership during the Revolutionary War, his diplomatic skills, and his commitment to the Constitution helped shape the nation's character and fostered a sense of American nationalism. Washington's farewell address is one of his most significant contributions. In this profound speech, he urged the nation to maintain unity, warned against the dangers of political parties, and advocated for a policy of neutrality in foreign affairs. This farewell address is still referenced today as a guiding principle in American politics. The precedents set by Washington's presidency are still evident today. His decision to step down after 2 terms established a tradition that was followed by subsequent presidents until Franklin D. Roosevelt. His establishment of a cabinet, his handling of foreign and domestic issues, and his vision for a strong federal government have been guiding principles for future leaders. Washington's legacy has profoundly shaped modern presidency. His vision for a strong executive branch, his emphasis on national unity, and his commitment to the Constitution have set the standard for presidential leadership. His decisions and actions during his presidency have had a far-reaching impact, influencing the course of American history and the role of the presidency. Under George Washington's presidency, the United States saw the establishment of a sound economic structure. His administration, along with the first Secretary of the Treasury, Alexander Hamilton, implemented policies to stabilize the national economy. This included the creation of a national bank, the assumption of state debts, and the implementation of a system of taxation. These measures were not without controversy, but they laid the foundation for the nation's financial future. Washington's stance on the issue of slavery was complex and often contradictory, reflecting the broader societal tension of his time. While he was a slave owner himself, his views evolved over his lifetime. He expressed concerns about the divisive potential of slavery, and in his will, he provided for the liberation of his own slaves. His actions, though not revolutionary, were significant for the era. The nation's capital, as we know it today, owes its location and design to Washington's presidency. He played a crucial role in the selection of the site along the Potomac River, envisioning it as a symbol of national unity. The Capitol was named in his honor, and his influence guided its early development, including the design of key governmental buildings. Washington's presidency also saw the ratification of the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. Although he played no direct role in drafting these amendments, his support was instrumental in their adoption. The Bill of Rights was seen as a critical step in safeguarding individual liberties and limiting governmental power. The French Revolution, which started in 1789, coincided with Washington's presidency. Its impact was significant, as it created a division within his cabinet and the nation. Some admired the French pursuit of liberty, while others feared the violent overthrow of the monarchy. Washington, maintaining a policy of neutrality, asserted that the U.S. was not obligated to aid either side, a stance that was a cornerstone of his foreign policy. George Washington's term saw the formation of political parties, a previously unforeseen development. Washington himself was wary of such divisions, fearing the potential for disunity and factionalism. However, the ideological differences within his cabinet, particularly between Alexander Hamilton and Thomas Jefferson, inevitably led to the creation of Federalist and Republican factions. These divisions, born out of political necessity, would eventually solidify into America's first political parties. Washington's views on national unity were a cornerstone of his presidency. He deeply believed in the need for a united nation that transcended individual state interests. His farewell address famously warned against the baneful effects of the spirit of party, highlighting his concern that political factions could erode national unity. Despite this, he presided over a country becoming increasingly divided along party lines. The evolution of the presidency during Washington's term was significant. As the first occupant of the office, he had to define the role with no prior example to follow. He established many of the customs and traditions associated with the presidency and set a precedent for future leaders. His conscious effort to strike a balance between monarchy and anarchy greatly influenced the character of the office. Washington's personal values greatly influenced his presidency. His integrity, sense of duty, and commitment to the public good were evident throughout his term. These values guided his decision-making process, shaping his policies and actions. His commitment to these values earned him the respect of both his allies and adversaries, and set a high moral standard for future presidents. During Washington's presidency, relations with European powers, particularly Britain and France, proved to be a complex issue. Washington's Neutrality Proclamation of 1793 was an attempt to keep the young nation out of European wars. Despite facing criticism, Washington's focus was on protecting American interests, demonstrating his pragmatic approach to foreign policy. His decisions during this period would shape America's future international relations. Public opinion played a significant role during George Washington's presidency. He often sought to understand the sentiments of the public, using this information to shape his policies and decisions. This approach allowed him to make informed choices that were in line with the needs and desires of the American people, reinforcing his credibility as a leader. Washington's approach to the Treaty of Paris was also marked by careful deliberation and strategic decision-making. He understood the importance of the treaty in shaping the future of the young United States. He strived to ensure that the treaty's terms were favorable to the country, demonstrating his commitment to safeguarding national interests. The influence of Washington's presidency on subsequent administrations cannot be overstated. His leadership style, policies, and the precedents he set shaped the office of the presidency for generations to come. His focus on strong governance while balancing the needs of individual states set the tone for future presidents in dealing with internal and external affairs. Washington's thoughts on term limits also had a profound impact on how the presidency evolved. He believed that serving more than 2 terms could lead to autocracy, and thus voluntarily stepped down after his second term. This self-imposed limit eventually became a constitutional amendment, further underscoring Washington's influence on the presidency. Finally, Vice President John Adams played a significant role in Washington's presidency. As the first vice president, Adams helped shape the role and responsibilities of this position. His advice and support were invaluable to Washington, particularly in the early years of the presidency when precedents were being established. George Washington's Neutrality Proclamation of 1793 was a significant decision that marked his presidency. As European powers were locked in war, Washington insisted on America's impartiality to avoid entangling alliances. His proclamation set a precedent for American foreign policy, emphasizing caution and strategic national interest over ideological alignment or rash involvement in foreign conflicts. Drawing from his military background, Washington brought discipline, strategy, and a sense of order to his presidency. His leadership during the Revolutionary War influenced his approach to governance, highlighting the importance of unity, order, and commitment to the nation. This military influence extended beyond his policies and was evident in his personal style of leadership. American nationalism was significantly shaped by Washington's presidency. His vision for a united nation free from foreign interventions was instrumental in fostering a strong sense of national identity. Washington's emphasis on the common cause and shared destiny of the American people played a crucial role in shaping the country's early national consciousness. Despite his stoic public persona, Washington faced numerous personal challenges during his presidency. The weight of leading a new nation was often heavy, and he struggled with various health issues. Despite these personal trials, Washington remained steadfast, demonstrating resilience and commitment to his role as the nation's leader. In conclusion, George Washington's presidency left an indelible mark on the nation. His pragmatic approach to governance, his insistence on neutrality in foreign affairs, his influence from his military background, and his role in fostering American nationalism have all shaped the presidency in ways that continue to resonate today. Despite personal challenges, Washington's presidency is a testament to his unwavering dedication to the young nation.